Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be doing another Briar deck tech. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of these out here. I'm just going to give you a short and sweet one about the new evolution of Briar, which is this hybrid Briar deck. Lightning Briar has been putting up a ton of results, and it's still, a top tier 1 deck. But this hybrid Briar is attempting to take down some of the harder matchups that Lightning Briar struggled with, right? So Lightning Briar had some trouble against these more controlling decks, these like ice decks, these, even Viscerai trying to do a block with a lot of defense reactions. It just struggled against a lot of these really good control decks that can put on a lot of disruption. But this deck really tries to combat that using some more blues and the card Channel Mountain Heroic, which is just able to provide more pressure than these control decks can really keep up with on your big turns, right? So to start with, we've got our obviously weapon, Rosetta Thorn, the most powerful Runeblade weapon right now. All the Runeblades are using it. For our equipment, we have the normal suite here of Skullcap, Tunic, Grasp of the Arcanite, and Snapdragon Scalers. Pretty much most of this is, Grasp and Arcanite are for blocking. Sometimes you will make a rune chant with Grasp if you're going to make a rune chant and then swing with your sword off of a blue. Tunic is for the extra resources. Usually you're going to use these extra resources to swing with your Rosetta Thorn for quote-unquote free. And then Snapdragons is either to do really big turns or to get you some extra damage on a bad turn, right? The extra equipment is this Bloodsheath Skeleton. I think this is actually pretty useful when you know you're going to need to block some relevant on-hits. So against like Ice Lexi, I think it's actually pretty helpful to block like a bigger arrow that you need to stop coming in. It could also be helpful against maybe the mirror match. So I think you'll feel out when this is helpful, but basically against decks that are going to be swinging for really relevant on hits that you want to block, this will give you that extra block. Shock Charmers are just here for the Kano matchup. If you don't think you're going to run into any Kanos, don't worry about the Shock Charmers. This deck is already actually not fully complete. There is 4 extra slots. And I'm going to leave those slots up to you all to decide what to put in there. I don't think it really needs them, to be honest. The deck is really good in its main deck. But if you want to put some extra 4 cards and mess around with those slots, that is up to you. We have our attack actions here. So we have 36 attack actions. 6 of those are sideboard. So these 3 Command and Conquers and these 3 Exude Confidence are sideboarded. And you want to switch them out with other main deck attack actions so that you don't mess up your ratios, really. But in the main deck, we have these Arcanic Shockwaves. We have Blue Autumn's Touch. This is usually... Excuse me, yawning. This is usually just a blue Earth card to pitch for Channel Mountain Heroic. But it also can attack if you really needed to. We've got our 6-ball Lightning. This is pretty much a staple. It's extra good on Channel Mountain Heroic turns because, it's a 0 for 5 or a 0 for 6 with Go Again, which is really good. Command and Conquer, like I said, is a sideboard card. Comes in against decks that need their arsenal a lot, so maybe against like a Bolton. Also comes in maybe against like a Prism when you're breaking Phantasms. You'll know when this card is helpful. Enlightened Strike here is pretty much a staple as well. Same with Entwined Lightning. Exude Confidence, like I said, is a sideboard card. This comes in against anyone that is on a dump, like at least 6 defense reactions I would bring it in against. If they only have 3, it's probably not worth it. But if they're on like 6 to 9, it's already going to pay itself off probably. So, excuse me. Exude Confidence coming in there. Just woke up. Maybe don't record videos in the morning, right? So Lightning Surge, Ravenous Rabble, Scar for Scar, and Snatch. These are all staples as well. They're just really powerful 0 for 4 attacks. Well, hopefully Ravenous Rabble is a 0 for 4. These are all powerful 0 for 4 attacks. And this is pretty much what we already know and love with this package. Nothing's a big surprise here outside of these 3 Autumn's Touch. Our other sideboard cards here are these 3 Sigil of Suffering. This is mostly for the mirror match. So in the mirror, this will be a 0 for 4 block because they don't run any Arcane Barrier, which will mean it should be able to efficiently block one of their 0 for 4 attacks. But you get to deal an arcane damage. So really, you're up a point there, right? You traded a card for a card and dealt an arcane. Yeah, solid card. Good in the mirror. I wouldn't bring it in against anything else really. Yeah, against other aggro decks, it's probably the only time it's really worth it. It's not really worth it against Bravo and other stuff like that because you're just losing too much pressure not having your attacks there. This is our 30 non-attack action suite. This all stays in because we pretty much want to try to keep a perfect 30-30 split. That's why we have 30 here with the 6 sideboard and then these 30 non-attacks. This is where you see a big difference between the Lightning list because we have these Bramble Sparks, we have these Channel Mount Heroics, we have these blue cards here, and all of these. So we have, I believe, 11 blue Earth cards. We have 3 Earthlore Surge, 3 Weave Earth, 2 Tome of Harvest, and the 3 Autumn's Touch up here. Those are mostly here to be able to pitch for these Channel Mount Heroic, obviously, which is just the key card to break those harder control matchups. Bramble Spark is, really good card. It's basically better Nimbleism when it's fused. It's a 0 for +3 and an Arcane. That's a separate source of Arcane, so it's also getting us 2 Embodiment of Earth if everything hits. So very good card here. I'm sure the Lightning decks wish they could run fused Bramble Spark, but here it becomes extra powerful. Remember, you can also fuse a Channel Mount Heroic onto it if you have that, so Bramble Spark's just a great card. Channel Mount Heroic is nice because even when you can't play it, like if you don't have an Earth Blue in hand, let's say you're in the mirror match and you don't have an Earth Blue, but you have 2 embodiments, it's still a non-attack action that blocks for 3, so you can still like block for 5 or 6 with 1 card. So it's never really just awful. In the worst case scenario, really worst case scenario, you can pitch it to swing with Rosetta, and then hopefully get it back later. So Channel Mount Heroic's great there. Like I said, these blue cards are almost always to play with this Channel Mount Heroic, or you're going to pitch them to make a Rune Chant and swing with your Rosetta Thorn. So that's your other option, basically. We've got the Gorganian Tome and these 3 Sonatas. Some people don't like the Sonatas. I think they're very powerful when they pay off. These are going to be in the deck to filter through faster, find your channel, find all these other cards here. We are cutting 3 blue Plunder runs. It is the weakest of the Plunder runs, so it's fine to cut it here, and we just need to make space, obviously. But we are still a Plunder run deck. These 6 Plunder runs are still going to be very powerful. Try to Arsenal all of them if possible. The more Plunder runs we place from Arsenal, the better. They're just very powerful cards in this deck. This Pulse of Candlehold, I guess that we are playing technically 12 Earth cards, right? I said we're playing 11, but we are playing this Pulse of Candlehold, which is an Earth Lightning action. This is just a powerful card that will allow us to have that extra Earth card for fusing this Force of Nature and fusing this Bramble Spark, but it'll also be a Lightning card for fuse, and it'll help that control matchup a little, letting us stack stuff on top of the deck. You could even, let's say you have a Channel Mount Heroic and any of these Earth cards, right? You can play Pulse of Candlehold and put, your Channel Mount Heroic and Earthlore Surge on the top of your deck, and then you'll guaranteed have that next turn. So Pulse of Candlehold does some extra work in this deck, allowing us to make some guaranteed Channel Mount Heroic turns. And the last cards in the deck here are these 2 blue Sting of Sorceries. We did have to cut one for space. We still want 2 because it lets us do the ball stack. So how you do that stack, I'm sure a lot of people know already, but basically you're going to make sure you have these 2 Sting of Sorceries as like the last cards in your deck as when you're stacking them, and then 3 Ball Lightnings, any of these Ball Lightnings, and you're gonna play Sting of Sorcery, Sting of Sorcery. So you have Sting of Sorcery, Sting of Sorcery, and then you're gonna play Ball, Ball, Ball. 3 Ball of Lightnings in a row, and that's going to deal 18 arcane damage. So the first Ball Lightning is going to add 1 to each Sting of Sorcery, dealing 4 arcane total. The second one's going to add 2, so 6 total, and the third one is going to add 8, so dealing 8 total there. So for 18 arcane damage, plus any physical from the Ball Lightning. So that's kind of your end game versus these Fatigue decks, but you should have an easier time versus Fatigue in general doing this Channel Mount Heroic game plan. So yeah, that is the deck right now. Like I said, there is 4 slots left over still. You can put in anything you want. I really think the deck is usually just going to run the main 60 and it's going to have good game against most of the field with just that main 60. Sometimes you'll want to swap any of these 3 cards out for something of the same type, right? So maybe, if you're into a deck with a lot of defense, if you know they're going to be blocking you a lot, you'll take out these Scars for these Exude Confidence, because they'll probably not be at, if you're not going to be at less life than them, probably. So against these control decks, Scar is an easy takeout when you know you're not racing. You're probably going to take out an attack action for Sigil of Suffering as well. I would try not to, mess up your ratios too much. So maybe take out like 2 attack actions and 1 non-attack action for these Sigil of Sufferings. You want to try to keep an even split as much as possible. Like I said, the deck naturally, the main 60 does have an even split. You can see this sideboard here. This is an even split right here in this main deck, and we have these 3 command, 3 exude, and 3 sigils. Would mess up ratios unless you take out the right cards for them. So yeah, try to do that as much as possible. I think if I was going to put in these sigils, maybe take out 1 attack, take out 1 non-attack, and then put the 3 in, so you'll go up to 61 cards. But then your ratios will, still be fine. I think the deck's really powerful. I think it might be a little weaker in the mirror, particularly, but I think it has a lot better game against Oldhim and Lexi that it's both weak to normally, and against a lot of the Viscerai fatigue. So if your local meta is less Lightning Briar and more decks trying to beat Lightning Briar, which a lot of metas are right now, I would try to bring this deck and really show them how powerful Chain Mountain Heroic is. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.